Hi, this is Joe Holm. What do you do when you see that life is going by so fast and you just have always lived your life in a way to really make the most of it? We want to tell you a little bit about an adventure that took place in 2013, and that was a trip of a lifetime that myself and just best of friend Craig Nornberg, Craig and I took together for the month of June. It was a time period in my life that I really needed a break. I really wanted an adventure. I really had something on my bucket list that I wanted to do for a long time, and that was to go down the Mississippi. And the history that has to do with the Mississippi, the beauty, the potential danger, the adventure, that was half of it. And then going across the Gulf of Mexico to Sanabel. We invite you to join us in this trip, and it was something that I'll never forget. It was one of the highlights of my life, and we just had a great time, and we hope you enjoy it.
My name is Craig Nornberg, and again, I'm the partner with Joe Holm on this trip down the Mississippi to Sanabel Island. Well, it was just a while ago that the telephone rang, and it was Joe on the line. So I took the call, and Joe was asking me if I would accompany him on a trip down the Mississippi River on a pontoon boat, and I thought, wow.
How do you bottle up and express 3 years of planning on a trip? You get the anticipation, and the closer that you get, the emotions are all over. From the planning, checking your list, checking it twice, the backgrounds, the maps. There's a lot that goes into a trip. And besides, there's a lot that you've got no control over it. This trip was prayerfully, and I say that with all respect, that put together, that we had complete peace about, and but yet there's just something about the unknown, and it reminds me a lot about life. But no matter where you're at in life, you're either going into a storm, you're coming out of a storm, or you're in the middle of the storm. To me, that summed up what this trip was all about. We had great, beautiful days, but on the radar, we saw there was going to be a tremendous amount of lightning, thunders, and rain coming up. What do you do in a time like that? We had times going across that ocean, and when you can't see the shore, that is quite an amazing sensation, realizing you are just a little speck out in this ocean, and you are out of control in terms of the elements. I'm very grateful that we've got a loving God that really showed favor on Craig and I during this trip. This trip, you really have to know who you're going with when you're on a trip like this. I mean, the pontoon is 8.5 feet wide by 30 feet long. That's a small square footage to spend a lot of time with one individual on. And but Craig and I, we had a great time. We ate extremely well. We planned it out. We had a freezer on board, and we had the meals planned out. We had a grill on board, a skittle, a frying pan, and a slow cooker. You know, when you're going along and the weather is stormy and it gets late, you really don't have a place to dock for the night, and you get in one of these back lagoons in the state of Mississippi and the southern part. That has a little tendency to add a little eeriness to that, and it was really quite some evenings that we had in areas that we knew nothing about, other than there was poisonous snakes around, other than there was alligators around, and there for sure was some nasty bugs. I remember one evening, Craig and I, on the radar, we saw a tremendous lightning storm coming up on us, and we knew we had less than a half hour where we had to find some place to tie up to. We found an old wooden bridge, and we tied up to that wooden bridge. The storm had passed. We decided to stay there that night.
One of the pleasures that was, again, unknown when we set out on this trip was who we would meet along the way and what kind of character they would have. And it was interesting because we found the most pleasant, hospitable people you would ever want to meet anywhere. And these people would strike up conversations, and again, they would inquire, what's this Let's Go Fishing all about? But it was the hospitality. They would feed us in some times. They would certainly carry on conversations.
One morning, we had just a really fun conversation with a lady, and she was on one of these surfboard paddling, and on the front of her board was her dog. And we made some conversation with her, just a wonderful individual, and she said what the dog really likes is when the dolphins came up and they bumped noses, the dolphin and the dog.
This trip, when we arrived finally at the Gulf after 2.5 weeks on the river, we were very excited to see a change in the watercolor, that now all of a sudden it was clean, or much cleaner, or so it appeared. And the trips around the Gulf, then finally to Sanabel Island, was full of a lot of excitement. And certainly there we were then seeing the dolphins, the sea turtles, and other water life that was very exciting and new to us. The white sand beaches, and able to stop whenever we wanted to and enjoy those. And finally, the completion of our trip, once we had landed in Fort Myers, Sanabel Island, we were able to spend 3 days there and then begin planning for the return of the pontoon and equipment. And we had put together the best of plans, and then as you'll see in the video, those plans didn't work out, so we had to go to an alternate plan. And then finally it was boarding the airplane and returning home to our wives and families.
I want to say a special thank you to Mercury, Michelle Kilborn and the whole Mercury team. The 150 horsepower four-stroke, flawless. 2,260 miles without a hitch on a brand new motor. This trip was a big deal. There was situations where we needed to make sure that they had the reliability. On behalf of all the Let's Go Fishing, the 37 pontoons, all the motors that we have from you guys, we really appreciate your support of Let's Go Fishing. We've had out 130,000 people now. During this trip, we also celebrated that was the year we took out 100,000 people. Mercury, thank you very much for your support. Of all the states that we went through and the conversations that we had with individuals, we had individuals in every single state ask about Let's Go Fishing, because we had Let's Go Fishing on the side of the pontoon. And as we shared with them what the program is all about, they said, when can you come to our state? What it really opened our eyes to is something that we really already knew, and that is there's a tremendous need. But we just want to say to all of you in all those states that might be watching this, please have some patience. We're on our way. To my wife, Carol, I want to thank you so much for understanding the importance of this trip to me. The support that you gave was really precious, and I appreciate it a lot. Being gone a whole month is a long time, and but your support of this is very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen, for letting me make this trip. That I was away from you for a month. I'd never done that before in our 42 years of marriage, and this was something very special, and I really appreciate it.
On behalf of Craig and myself, thank you for watching.